Hey, Mike Callahan here with the first installment of Callahan's Corner. Had some audio problems on the first go at it, so hopefully you can rejoin or watch the replay of this here. But going to be going in on a weekly basis and talking to you about the different questions, how to get Service Autopilot completely set up for success from day one. So if you're watching, just put a comment in the comment field just to make sure the audio is working, but appears to be working the way it should as advertised. But the whole idea here is basically you submit your questions, I answer them as a certified advisor. So Service Autopilot, in my opinion, is a great business, allowed our business to scale to $1 million and well beyond. But one of the problems that we had was we didn't have a foundational understanding of how the software was set up for success from day one. So what I'm going to do is fast track the learning curve for you to make sure that you're set up on the system from day one for success. So basically the idea is you submit your questions on a daily basis. I go out here and answer your questions live and walk you through the systems to make sure all the learning pain points that you may be encountering setting up the system, whether you're brand new today or been using it for several years, they're addressed. Looks like there's a few people on the live screen. If somebody could just type in that you can hear the audio. We had some issues earlier when we first tried to send this. If somebody just type a little note in there, audio is good, let me know. But as we're waiting for that, we are going to dive in right in the Service Autopilot in here in a minute and let you see exactly how to set up the installment billing and the installment process on an estimate as well for success from day one, as well as some other settings I'd highly recommend setting up once you get into the estimate process in Service Autopilot. So whether you've been using it for years or you're just starting out tomorrow or today, these are the things I'd recommend based on how to set up installment on an estimate and billing itself. So without any further delay, I am going to narrow this down and hop right in. So first thing we're looking at is, thanks, Mike, appreciate it. So under the gear icon, we're going to go in and select estimate settings. And then there's another one under company settings that we're going to want to check as well. So under estimate settings, the main couple things you're going to want to look at is if you're using package jobs such as fertilizing, or maybe you're in the home cleaning industry where you have a package of several strip and wax across the different time spans, you want them done. So it doesn't need to be done a particular day, but it needs to be done within a few week time period or a week time period. This allows you some flexibility for scheduling. So under print package items, we'd want to be able to print that and select whether you want just the package total, each step only, or the package total in each step that you're doing. So I would set that up so every time you pull that up, by default, that loads. Next thing we want to do is scroll down here to allow signature capture on View My Proposal. That's going to allow you to have the electronic signature capture with the person on their mouse or the finger on a phone or iPad. And then the bottom part is under Show Subtotal on View My Proposal. My best practice 99% of the time is to avoid putting that in because it will show and cause some confusion. In addition, default estimates is 1. This is when they come up in a checked mark fashion, where the consumer can go in and check the services they want. You have the option to have this checked or non-checked. I'm going to recommend in most instances you want to leave this unchecked so the consumer just checks what they want and there is no confusion. So they physically had to check on it to accept it. So those are the main things that you're looking at. If you're taking a screenshot or something on the live or recorded version, those are the things you want here. Next thing we're looking at is under the gear icon as well. We want to go into company information. Now, a lot of this was set up originally when you bought Service Autopilot. If you've just bought it recently, a lot of this is set up. Including myself, I didn't know any better when I was in here, but basically you'd want to go in under settings and go down. Now, there's a couple things that we want to make sure we have checked here. Now, the first thing is if you're doing snow removal jobs, it's still in the winter period here as we're making this, and some people are just getting into snow. We want to make sure we click Enable Snow. Now, obviously, if you're in the home cleaning or a region in this country that doesn't have snow, don't worry about it. But if you don't click that, it will not show the snow services. So obviously, that's a big deal if that's something that you're doing. Next thing we're going to do is under accounting. That looks all right. Contact details looks all right. And we're going to go under settings once again and pull up the installments here. There's one other spot we have to check, and I may have missed it on the other sheet here. Let me just double check because it's been a while since we've looked at this. So actually, we're going to go right back into estimate settings and make sure we've got that installment one there. I must have ran right past it. So those were the other things that we wanted to make sure that we were looking at. If we want to show discounts, we can do that as well. And number of installments, I looked right past it there. So in most companies, you're going to want 12 installments that are equal. So we want to make sure the number of installments is set. So main things, once again, as a quick review, is want to make sure our packages are set up. If you want to show discounts in the grid, you can put it here. View my proposals clicked and probably deselect subtotals. So I'm going to hit save changes there. And then once again, under the gear icon, we want to go to company information, under settings, make sure if we're using snow, that is enabled. And as well as if you're doing work orders, we want to have that enabled as well. So those are the main things we're taking a look at here. And if you're using QuickBooks with classes, we want to enable classes. So we're going to save those changes. Now we need to go in and create a document. So I've got one already opened up here, documents. When we hit edit settings here, there's a couple different things. This one here is set as an estimate. So that's the document type. And the next thing is we need to connect an estimate email. So that's the email that mails out the estimate via email with a clickable link in it. And then under estimate confirmation email, this is the email that's automatically sent if your future consumer accepts the estimate. So that's the basic setup there. But the main thing we're worried about is how do we set up the installment? So when we're in here, in the estimate, this area here is called dynamic content, or in other parts of the system, it's called an estimate grid. And when you pull up grid, this is where your estimate grid lives. So they are one and the same. An estimate grid and dynamic content, I'd have two different names, but they're one in the same. So that's something in the system that you want to keep a look at there. The idea is once you have your estimate grid built, you go into content, dynamic content, which is your estimate grid, you pull it in and you scroll down and you grab the appropriate one that you're using. That's where the pricing is going to live. Obviously, you'd want some verbiage in here for the estimate process. This is a boilerplate example. But the main thing is here, it says your monthly installment payment will be, once we put that in, I physically typed that in before the video, we'd go to merge tags. And there is a tag in here that actually has installment on it. So installment amount. So your monthly installment will be this, and we could say build out in, and we could go into merge tags and we go back in, and if you look at an installment, it will tell you the number of installments. And that number of installments is pulled directly from your gear icon estimate settings that we were already on. And when we set up the estimate settings for the number of installments by 12, it merges in that number dynamically. So your monthly installment payment will be the installment amount billed out in 12 equal installments. Obviously, you want to make it a little prettier, clean it up, but this is the idea. So we're going into estimate settings, selecting electronic signature, 12 monthly installments, or whatever that reflects in your market, probably pulling off the subtotal, and then going under the company settings as well and defining, making sure if you're in the snow removal area, you've got that on, and anything else that would be applicable. And once you hit save now, it will merge this in, and every time you do an estimate, it'll take the subtotal and divide it out into installments merged in. Final part of the video is here is once you have a client and we want to set up installment billing, this is how we would do this. So we'd create a contract, and this is where we could put all the services that are included in the installment underneath the contract itself, and then include any additional services billed up and beyond. So if we go in and click on this test contract we have here, hold on 1 minute. So in the far bottom right-hand corner, we go add a contract, and that will pull up your contract. So a contract is where your installment billing happens. And the contract is going to be set up in a way that it tells you what's included in the contract. So if you're doing a landscape maintenance contract, and it includes mowing, weed whacking, mulching, bed edging, but doesn't include the trimming of the palm trees, this is where we can go in and do this here. So I'm working from home, but for some reason my internet connection is a little funky here in trying to get this to click on. But the idea is when you go in to click this installment, is it is going to pull up basically an installment contract that you can put the name right here. So there we go. So we get the client name and the name, contract name, you'd put it in here, the start and end date, and then you could type in monthly landscape maintenance contract, maintenance installment. And once you have it in here, that's what's going to read out on the actual bill itself. And then we create a default service. I use the annual agreement. And then if it was 500, or let's just say in this example, maybe it's $800 a month, we'd hit autofill and fill it in. So it's going to automatically bill an installment of $800 for the services. We bill billing day of the month. I'm going to say the first. We can bill 1 month in advance, select the payment type, and include sub properties as well. Say if you had a property manager with multiple sub properties. And the idea would be go under actions, add a contract item, select the service, and then if lawn mowing was one of them and you had aeration, you can go in and add these in here. So the system will not double bill out these services. They'll fall underneath that. When you go to schedule the job, you select the contract and tie it into that. And then always make sure that you have the price and budgeted time on those jobs that are under the contract, because if you don't have data going in, you won't have data going out for production rate based estimating and job costing. A couple of cool features here, though. If you click under alert, we can go in and say if we've met, say, a maximum of 25 visits, here we can say is greater than or equal to, and we could alert the role of accounting. So maybe we need to bill after 25 visits, and we could put 25 in there. Or conversely, hourly, if it's an hourly thing, maybe we're going to is greater than or equal to 100 hours for maybe bed weeding. Maybe we just give them a flat 100 hours for weeding. Everything above that's maybe $50 an hour. We could also alert that to alert accounting as well. And then once these are all set up, we hit save, and that's how you would set up your monthly installment billing. So comments and questions, again, please let us know. Mike Rez says, we have been having problems with prepaid services. When we perform the service, it still wants to bill it, and it's not shown as paid. So Mike, the main thing that I recommend is when you go to add a job, we happen to make a separate video of this if this isn't the issues, but if I add a one-time job, to bring that installment billing full circle is we want to select the contract here and then select the exact lawn mowing service that we had in there. And that should take care of the problem. We want to assign a resource, and we definitely want to assign a price. So if it was $800 a month, but $50 a week was going towards the mowing, we'd have the price and say budgeted time. Those are the key things that you need to have done, and obviously a resource to make that successful. So Mike, hopefully that answers the question. Any of the other comments or questions below on the live recorded version, let me know. I will be watching this next 24 to 48 hours. And Steve, I just had one of my customers call me about a half hour ago wanting to do monthly installments, and I had to tell her I don't have that set up and I don't know how to. Steve, if you watch back the rest of the video here, it will take you step by step, but under estimate settings, you need to set up the installment process right here. So estimate settings. We want to make sure we select the number of default installments right here. And then when we go into the estimate document, we want to have the merge field in there as well. So if you go into type, we select estimate, hit apply. I believe I was using the Simple Growth client estimate template in the example here, hit edit. And as you scroll down, Steve, we have the ability to merge in down here in the text. And F, installments. And it allows you to define the number of installments and installment amount. Just remember, this is static, so you really don't want to, on the estimate, quote more than one package or service. So it's only one option. Comments and questions drop below, Steve. Glad the video was helpful. Once again, Callahan's Corner coming at you on a daily basis here. You ask the question, I answer the question live on Facebook Live on a daily installment here on Simple Growth. And we will repost these videos as well after they're done in the Service Autopilot user group as well for a good point of reference. So hope everybody's doing well, and feel free to drop your questions below in the comments here or drop me a private message via Facebook. Callahan's Corner, you ask, I answer.